Welcome to Fox 54 News at 6. I'm Kenesha Dees. As students head back to the classroom this week, health officials are monitoring the rise of flu cases in Alabama. According to the Alabama Department of Public Health, nearly 10% of emergency room visits are related to the flu. While the number of flu cases rise, local doctors say the increase is around what we expect for this time of year. Fox 54's Logan Alexandra Russell spoke with the local medical professional about the warning signs parents need to look for and the steps you can take to keep your family healthy.
The CDC ranks Alabama in the high category for flu activity, but one local pediatrician tells me the number of sick kids coming through her door with the flu is actually normal for this time of year. The key is preventing the seasonal surge from spiking as kids head back to school and knowing what warrants a visit to the ER. With students returning to shared classrooms and cafeterias, the risk of getting the flu increases. To keep your kids safe, experts recommend doing multiple preventative steps, such as washing hands frequently and wiping down items such as water bottles, lunch boxes, and laptops. Dr. Kim Middleton says if your child starts to feel sick, it's important to keep your kids at home.
It's very easily spread, and so that's why everyone needs to make sure, especially if they have fevers, is to stay home, but also if they're coughing and having other symptoms is to try and stay away from others.
Middleton says you shouldn't send your kids back to school until they have successfully gone at least 24 hours with no fever and medicine. She says to watch out for dehydration and lethargy, especially in younger children. But you shouldn't take your children to the ER unless they're having trouble breathing or experiencing dangerously high fevers. Middleton advises parents not to give their kids aspirin while they're experiencing the flu and recommends getting them vaccinated if you haven't done so already. In Huntsville, Logan Alexandra Russell, Fox 54 News.
Several districts have already released guidelines for dealing with the flu. Madison City Schools says students in grades K through 5 are allowed 10 excused absences per academic year. The guidelines suggest some students may need to be out of school for 5 to 7 days just for a case of the flu. Decatur City Schools says they've already begun using high-level disinfectants and are advising parents to keep their children home if they experience symptoms. And as a reminder, you should also check your district's attendance policies and make sure you provide the necessary documents when keeping your kids home when they're sick. Let's get a look at that weather. We could see cloudy sky, but earlier it was foggy, and that brought in those cloudy skies later in the day. But we did see some peaks of sunshine, so we can agree that it was a good day still. Let's bring in Fox 54 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Jordan, we've maintained that warmth, but how long will it stay?
Yeah, the warmth is going to stick around for a couple of more days, and you're right. We did start this morning incredibly foggy, and it should be known that I put in a lot of effort to try and create a really cool time lapse of the fog lifting off the mountain because I live at the bottom of Green Mountain. And so I thought, oh, it'll be really cool to make a really neat time lapse. And then my cell phone fell over about halfway through, and so most of the time lapse is actually my patio. I was really disappointed about that. Like I said, warmth's going to stick around for a couple of more days. It's going to come to an abrupt halt as a cold front pushes its way through the Tennessee Valley on Friday. Friday is going to be a Fox 54 weather impact alert day. Not only are we talking about heavy rain, but we're also talking about a small threat for some stronger or marginally severe thunderstorms. With that in mind, much of the Tennessee Valley talking about a slight risk for severe weather. The exception here appears to be our friends over in northeast Alabama, Jackson, DeKalb, and Marshall counties. They're only talking about a marginal risk for severe weather. Greatest concern definitely going to be the threat for some very heavy rain, which could lead to some localized or even some more widespread flash flooding. We'll talk about this in greater detail here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Jordan. Yet another court date coming from an ongoing lawsuit out of Belmina in Limestone County. Residents there are trying to close down a quarry they say is disrupting daily life and causing irreparable harm to the community. Their biggest concerns include clouds of dust covering cars and homes, loud noises at all hours of the day, and bright lights streaming into homes. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo tells us what happened at today's hearing.
An ongoing quarry in Belmina is upsetting the residents who live there, so much so they took it to Limestone County Court. Today's preliminary hearing will decide whether or not the quarry stays open until a trial in April. Grayson Carter & Son has operated the quarry in Belmina for a little over a year. In that time, residents say the dust has been overbearing, the blasts violent, and the traffic causing up to 15-minute delays. One witness said before the court, "It's changed everything for us." In fact, the plaintiffs, the Southern Environmental Law Center, brought in a subject matter expert to talk about the dust. He said in court the dust is up to 5 times higher next to the quarry than nearby farmland. But the defendants dismissed those claims, saying any emissions, noise, and traffic are well within local regulations. They say the quarry will cause no irreparable harm between now and the trial. Reverend Cody Gillum from Belmina gave us an update on the latest out of the litigation, saying this hearing is different from the other court dates in the past.
It's different in that our most recent suit that was filed against us in Indiana was a strategic lawsuit against public participation, or a SLAP suit, to try to stop us from appearing in the media and advocating for each other.
The preliminary hearing is still going and should finish before the week is out. The trial for a permanent closure begins on April 21st. In Athens, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
Grayson Carter & Son and the Southern Environmental Law Center declined to comment before the preliminary hearing finishes. To see more of our coverage out of Belmina, head on over to fox54.com. A federal judge is giving the Trump administration an extra month to respond to a lawsuit looking to block the relocation of Space Command right here in the Rocket City. You may recall the state of Colorado filed a lawsuit in U.S. District Court claiming the decision to leave the command's temporary home at Peterson Space Force Base is in retaliation of Colorado's universal mail-in ballot system. Yesterday, the Department of Justice agreed to move the deadline to respond to the complaint because of complex litigation, workload, and health concerns, and lack of opposition for the extension. The new deadline is set for February 20th. A Morgan County man has accepted a plea deal after being arrested for child molestation in Indiana, we've learned. The Morgan County Sheriff's Office says the investigation began when the Elkhart County Sheriff's Office contacted deputies in November of 2024 to interview Melvin Price. Police arrested Price on 3 counts of child molestation in September. A Morgan County investigator was prepared to travel to Indiana to testify during the trial. However, Price had accepted a plea deal and will serve 35 years behind bars. A Hartselle couple will spend the rest of their lives in prison for child abuse. In 2021, Hannah Campbell brought her 3-year-old child to the hospital, claiming they fell down steps and landed on concrete. But hospital staff found makeup hiding other bruises on the child's body. Hospital staff notified DHR, later discovering the child had serious, life-threatening injuries that required surgery and even a month of hospitalization. A jury found Hannah and Lance Campbell guilty of aggravated abuse last month. A judge sentenced both to life in prison. Have you seen this woman? Look at your screen. The Limestone County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding Teresa Benford. Benford was last seen around 10 a.m. this morning north of Highway 31 in Decatur. Authorities believe she is living with a condition that may impair her judgment. If you've seen Benford, you're asked to call the Limestone County Sheriff's Office at the number you see on your screen, 256-232-0111. Well, check this out. A school bus crashed in Madison this morning. Here's video of that scene. The crash happened around 7:30 at the intersection of Browns Ferry Road and Shiloh Creek Drive. According to the city of Madison, no one was injured. That wreck took place in a heavy fog that we mentioned earlier, and it settled across the area earlier today. No word on whether those weather conditions played a role in that crash. We've learned a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis earlier today. The Department of Homeland Security says 37-year-old Renee Good attempted to run over an ICE officer with her car. Here's video of this. DHS says the officer feared for his life and for the safety of the public, but city and state officials say that video evidence disproves that. The Minneapolis police chief says Good was not being investigated by the federal agents. A witness to the incident argues the shooting could have been prevented.
It does not appear aggressive to me. I think that if they felt like they were in any danger, they could have stepped 2 feet backwards. I think, in my opinion, that this was an unnecessary use of force in a reaction to imagined danger.
Homeland Security deployed more than 2,000 ICE agents to Minneapolis in the last week. The Trump administration says it's the largest immigration operation ever.
This is the only cancer at this point that we can actually eliminate.
We're talking about cervical cancer. This Wellness Wednesday, we learn more on how to spot the signs early. Stay with us. Special Gift touches down at the Space and Rocket Center ahead of a new training complex. Details on who it's from up ahead.
Now, Wellness Wednesday on Fox 54 News, sponsored by Regenesis.
Cervical cancer isn't just a concern for women, it's a concern for both local and state medical leaders. Alabama has one of the highest cervical cancer rates in the country. This Wellness Wednesday, we take a look at how Alabama is leading the way to eliminate cervical cancer.
Alabama is actually in the top 5 when it comes to not only mortality or death rates, but also incidence. So the number of women that get cervical cancer than the nation.
Nancy Wright with the Alabama Department of Public Health is a part of Operation Wipeout, a statewide effort to eliminate cervical cancer.
We can actually end cervical cancer. We can eliminate this cancer. And that's exciting news. This is the only cancer at this point that we can actually eliminate, similar to how we eliminated polio.
Iata Madry with Tennessee Valley Gynecologic Oncology says screening is important to catch the cancer ahead of time.
Cervical cancer can be screened with a pap smear. We want to remember that screening, the role for that is to catch disease before the onset of symptoms, because typically that results in earlier treatment and better outcomes. But a pap smear and HPV testing looks at the health of the cervical cells, along with if there's a presence of the human papillomavirus.
And when it comes to HPV, Wright tells FOX54 that immunization against the virus plays an important role in the fight.
HPV is actually what causes nearly all cervical cancers. And that virus, we now have an immunization for. So if women were to get the HPV vaccination beginning at age 9, all the way up really until 25, but ultimately up to 45, before they are exposed to that virus, then they would not get cervical cancer.
Madry also says if an anomaly is found during testing, it's important to follow up with a doctor.
When we have problems, we should schedule problem appointments. At those visits, we want to be very clear and descriptive of our symptoms, ask direct questions. If we have issues with anxiety or maybe potential with difficulty remembering things, making notes or bringing a support person to an appointment would be helpful.
And for parents, Wright adds that the HPV vaccination is good, not just for girls, but for boys too.
HPV doesn't just cause cervical cancer. That's the only cancer we can eliminate. But it also causes more than 60%, it's closer to 70% of head and neck cancers, which primarily affect men.
And if you want to learn more, you can check out From the Experts right here on Fox 54 Plus. Download on your TV, watch for free. A lawmaker who flipped an Alabama House seat in Huntsville has announced her run for re-election. Look at what she aims to do for Alabamians. And Jordan, how's the weather looking for us?
Yeah, as we head into your Friday, we're going to bring an end to the clear and quiet conditions across the Tennessee Valley. Friday is going to be a Fox 54 weather impact alert day as some extremely heavy rain is going to push its way into our neck of the woods. We'll discuss it in just a couple of minutes.
Huntsville Representative Marilyn Lands is once again hitting the campaign trail. Lands officially announced her re-election bid for the Alabama House this morning. Lands, a Democrat, flipped her House seat back in 2024, taking over for David Cole, who resigned. Lands is best known for sponsoring the presumptive Medicaid eligibility bill, which allows pregnant women to receive prenatal care while awaiting Medicaid approval. Looking ahead to the 2026 session, Lands says her top priority is House Bill 14, which would allow voters to propose laws through petitions that would be placed directly on the ballot.
We've got so much more work to do, and I am there to champion Alabama's families and the concerns that the people of this district have, and so I'm excited to be getting to work. HB 14 is a ballot to provide a process for a citizen-led ballot initiative, and it really gives the power back to the people.
The upcoming legislative session is scheduled to begin next week, where the ballot initiative bill is expected to be debated.
Now, the Tennessee Valley's certified most accurate forecast from the Fox 54 Weather Impact Team.
Our eye on the sky over in Athens, lots of cloud cover and even warmer temperatures, and even the sun saying hello today.
Yeah, just the slightest little glimpse of blue there. And I love that we shot that slightest little glimpse of blue just merely to prove it exists.
Yes, a lot more than what we've seen yesterday.
Exactly. Whatever we got today was more than what we saw yesterday. I am enjoying this warmth.
Yes, I'm enjoying it while I can.
Exactly, and that's the key takeaway here, while you can, because of course all good things must come to an end, and this, what I think is a very good thing, is going to come to an end, because remember, after all, it is early January. Now, we're going to get a lot of change over the next couple of days. Thursday looks like it's going to be mostly dry and still warm, though. So Thursday is going to be semi-uneventful. But then as we head into your Friday, we're talking about a Fox 54 weather impact alert day, mostly because we are talking about some incredibly heavy rain that's going to build into our neck of the woods. Friday, several rounds of showers and thunderstorms are going to build into the area. That once they begin to build in, they're not necessarily going to exit the area completely until we get to the early or middle part of Saturday morning. At the same time, there there is a very conditional threat for some strong or marginally severe thunderstorms as we head into Friday afternoon and Friday evening. What is a conditional threat for severe weather? Well, it means all of the atmospheric parameters need to come together ever so perfectly for that threat of severe weather to come to fruition. And as of right now, we would be lacking in some of those parameters. We have a fair amount of wind shear present in our atmosphere, but the one thing we're really going to be lacking as of right now is instability. And if we can't get the instability, then the threat for severe weather is just simply not going to happen. I want to show you the rainfall totals right away because that's going to be the biggest concern. By the time we get to the lunch hour on Saturday, look at this, 3 to 4. Locally, we could be talking about 5 to 5.5 inches of rain by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. That's going to create a large concern for widespread flash flooding, not just in the flood-prone locations, but really any low-lying location across the Tennessee Valley. So this is something we're going to continue to watch. We're going to continue to pay extra close attention to the rainfall forecast over the next couple of days because as it stands right now, widespread across the entire Tennessee Valley, 3 to 4 inches, but then locally we're talking about 4 to 5. We could even get 5.5 inches of rain. There is a slight risk for severe weather, all locations west of the I-65 corridor. This includes our friends up across southern Middle Tennessee. A marginal risk for severe weather across northeast Alabama, Jackson, DeKalb, and Marshall counties. Biggest concern, of course, going to be the threat for some heavy rain, which is going to lead to some flash flooding. Not much of a hail concern here. Within any stronger thunderstorms, we could get some gusty winds to develop. And then if severe weather were to actually come to fruition, there would be a low non-zero threat of an isolated tornado. Here's Futurecast as we head into the later part of Friday morning. Now, we're already going to begin to see some rain develop during the Friday morning commute. It's going to continue as we head into the later part of the morning. We might get a little bit of a break early into the afternoon. Good thing, enjoy that break while you can, because then the heavier precipitation, the more widespread thunderstorm activity builds in during the later part of the afternoon, and then from there it just kind of continues through the middle and later part of the evening as we head into the overnight. We're talking about some extremely heavy rain. We could be talking about some embedded stronger thunderstorms. This rain is going to continue through the earliest hours of Saturday morning, not really coming to an end until we get to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Then as we head into Saturday afternoon, we are going to begin to see some breaks in the cloud cover. Have a good look at the next 7 days. 70 degrees on Thursday. There's your Fox 54 weather impact alert day on Friday. 67 degrees, still going to be warm, so at least it's not going to be a cold rain. 67 on Saturday, but then that colder air really builds into the Tennessee Valley once we get to the back half of the weekend. Plenty of sunshine on Sunday as well. 42. 45 on Monday. 52 on Tuesday. Still holding on to that sunshine. Cloud cover and rain build back into the Tennessee Valley next Wednesday. I've got a high temperature right around 50 degrees.
The countdown is on. The U.S. Space and Rocket Center prepares to open its new Inspiration 4 Skills Training Complex. And earlier this week, a new piece was added that will greet visitors thanks to the head of NASA. The center announced NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman donated an L-39 Albatross jet painted in the scheme he flew with. You can see it right there for yourself. For Space Camp officials, the jet means more than just a gift from Isaacman.
This plane is an image, a way for students to come into our program to see a physical representation of what it means to follow your dreams, to succeed, to see someone who's been through our programs become the NASA administrator is just absolutely amazing. And this is that representation of what it means to follow those dreams, to pursue your passions.
Pretty cool feat. Well, the U.S. Space and Rocket Center is looking to open the Inspiration 4 complex this summer. We have a couple Fox 54 traffic impact alerts for you today. Lane closures are continuing tomorrow at Redstone Arsenal's Gate 9 for resurfacing. The resurfacing will take place from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. with 8 hours of curing time. During this time, the Arsenal will close 4 lanes, including lane 8. This means all large commercial vehicles will need to use Gate 1 until 1:30 p.m. All other cars should also use a different gate during the resurfacing. For more traffic impact alerts, go to fox54.com. Mo, what's happening with Auburn?
It was a crazy night on the plains for the Auburn Tigers, and they were left heartbroken at the buzzer. We'll take a look back at everything next.
Fox 54 Sports is sponsored by Alpha Insurance.
Comes in for the win. Good if it goes. Got it! He got it! Unreal! No good. No good is the call. And now Stephen Pearl can't believe it.
Auburn basketball fans going through a world of emotions late last night on the Plains. At first, many thought that Keyshawn Harper's desperation three-pointer was good, but the rest reviewed the final shot. And as you can see from this picture from my good friend Johnny Congdon, his fingertips are on the ball as the final buzzer goes off, meaning that Texas A&M secured a victory late last night inside of Neville Arena. Let's hear from Auburn men's coach Stephen Pearl about the entire sequence.
From the angles that I saw, it looked like it was off his fingers, but that was just, I don't have all the same angles they have, and it looks like on the clock it says 0.2. So I was like on the floor, I'm like, we just won the game. Like, oh, wow. They made a decision that, it was, I don't know. It was on his fingertips, so.
Crazy sequence there. Let's move over to college football now. Alabama will have a new starting quarterback in 2026. Today, Ty Simpson declaring for the 2026 NFL Draft. Last season, the 6'2" quarterback threw for over 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, and only had 5 interceptions. For his efforts, Simpson was named a second-team All-SEC selection. Following Alabama's loss at the Rose Bowl, rumors swirl that he could hit the portal and play elsewhere during his final season. Instead, he decided to take his talents to the National Football League. Coming up tonight in sports at 9 on Fox 54, we'll have an update from Alabama and Vandy in Nashville, and we'll preview tomorrow's SWAC battle between Alabama A&M and Jackson State. Kanisha.
Yes, Mo, also coming up on Fox 54 News at 9, a woman is dead after she was shot by an ICE agent. We'll have the latest from Minneapolis. A recent report reveals Alabama governments are having trouble finding education and other services, and it all has to do with tax collection. We'll explain. A new chicken restaurant is just the starting point for a new mixed-use district here in Huntsville. We'll tell you what's in store for Stadium Commons tonight at 9. Neighbors in Maryland sprung into action to save a mother and her 2 children. Just look, from a burning townhouse yesterday. You just heard people urging the woman to drop her children out of the 2-story window. After the children were saved, neighbors used a ladder to help the woman climb out of the burning home and to safety. The children and the woman were taken to the hospital to be treated for possible, and there you see the child dropped. Possible smoke inhalation. Wow, what a community effort.
And when adrenaline is flowing through one's body, your abilities to accomplish things like catching children out of windows suddenly goes up exponentially. So very glad that that seems to have ended.